Give us 9 minutes, and we'll give you Europe.
Welcome to Piercing Traffic and Weather. Today we have correspondents from across Europe to talk with us about recent advancements in machinery and production, as well as the booming economy. Later today we will be covering the latest peasant revolt, and we will have an exclusive interview with farmer Frederick Friescher.
We will also interview aristocrat Jacques de Capet on alleged corruption in the nobility.
The fight between nobles and monarchs continues. For years, the various rulers of Europe have been fighting an uphill battle to secure absolute power from the nobility. The rulers have met fierce opposition from the nobles because the nobles refuse to allow the monarchs to consolidate their countries. Nobles are fighting to maintain standard European hierarchy and tradition, although supporters of a strong monarchy argue that nobles are using this as an excuse to resist additional taxes and complete submission to an absolute monarch. The nobility is strongly against absolute rulers because many nobles fear that under a controlling state they may lose the inherited rights they have guaranteed privilege and prestige to their families for centuries.
In other news, estimates report that a large percentage of peasants have taken the profession of their families, which is the lowest number in over 500 years.
Despite the poor life a peasant currently leads, many are still resisting change because of their desire to revive old traditions and rights that grant peasants access to certain lands.
We now tune you in to Pierre Garçon in Paris, France.
For years, the aristocrats of France have been corrupt and have been receiving benefits unavailable to others. Some of these corrupt benefits include being exempt from a tax known as a taille and forced labor on public works project known as the Royal Corvée. We are lucky to be able to interview one of these French nobles, Jacques de Capet. The question we have for you today is about your exemption from the taille. Why do you believe you shouldn't have to pay this tax like the peasants do?
Well, I believe that in order to preserve my power and wealth, I need to keep all of the money that I have. The peasants, on the other hand, have little to no chance of moving up the social hierarchy anyway, so they should give up their money.
Well, how are the poorest people in the country supposed to single-handedly support this country and pay taxes for all the other citizens?
Well, all money that the peasants have, after using the bare minimum to eat, should go straight to the state.
Hey, our next question is about the monarchy. What types of actions are you and other aristocrats across France doing to ensure that you have more power than the king does?
Well, the first thing we're trying to do to make sure that we maintain our power is preventing others from becoming aristocrats, to keep our power exclusive to us. Secondly, we're also attempting to make sure that only aristocrats occupy important government positions. Thirdly, we are using the institutions we have control over, primarily the parliament, to go against the power of the king. Lastly, we are seeking further tax exemption to keep our money in our pockets.
Thank you, Jack. Well, you have all now seen the corruption present in the aristocracy here in France. Back to you, Paul.
We will return to you after these commercial breaks. Maids pay him to clean the house. When he takes a bath, he makes the bath cleaner. Hand sanitizer uses him. He is the cleanest man in the world.
I don't always bathe, but when I do, I use soap. Stay squeaky, my friends.
We are here at a Russian estate with a peasant who has been through a severe discrimination. Tell us, how did the resulting rebellion start?
Well, first of all, we are taken advantage of by the landlords. They treat us as an economic commodity. It's not fair. They literally treated us like slaves and forced labor on us to much as 6 days a week. What set us off to rebel was when the monarchs, Peter and Catherine the Great, conferred complete authority for landlords over the serfs. We had enough. We wanted our rights back right away. It was time to rebel.
So how fatal was this rebellion?
Well, Emelian Pugachev led the rebellion, and he demanded his rights back no matter what. So we would not stop at anything, and because of this, there were thousands of deaths. I believe this is one of the biggest peasant uprisings in Russian history.
Wow, can you believe all this havoc? Well, up next we have Nikolai Pekovic.
Starving anymore. Here in England, the work of great innovators provided new methods of increasing food production to accommodate a rapidly expanding population.
In previous years, there have been issues with the production, storage, and distribution of food. And the countryside is faced with limited food supply, while cities replenish storages of food.
Bread and grain prices have slowly been rising due to the increasing population of Europe, shortages of land, and poor harvest seasons, which have been devastating the impoverished. On the other hand, these rising prices have allowed nobles to profit by selling their extra grain.
To prevent starvation, individuals began to improve Europe's agricultural system.
Cornelius Vermeulen drained thousands of acres of land in England to provide more farmland.
Jethro Tull paid for experiments to improve farming methods, which include the inventions of the iron plow, the seed drill. These all allowed people to farm more intensely on their land.
Charles Turnip Townshend educated farmers how to utilize crop rotation techniques to fully use their farmland. Crop rotation avoided the use of a fallow field, which increased the fodder production for livestock.
Robert Baswell produced new methods of breeding animals with more meat and milk.
Arthur Young was the final influential person who published essays of new agricultural techniques to the public under the name of Annals of Agriculture.
I'm here live in London, England with engineer Thomas Newcomen. Hello, Thomas. I hear you built something that no one has ever done before. Is that true?
Yes, this is true. I built an engine that runs on steam.
Wow, that is so interesting. What do you use it for?
People in England use it to pump out water out of coal.
Intriguing. Have you tested it yet?
Yes, I have.
And is it efficient?
Yes, there's little tweaks here and there because it's new, but it works.
So basically it doesn't work that well.
No, it's just really big and it can't transport well.
Ouch, that's a bummer. Back to you, Paul.
Newcomen's steam engine is almost on pace to sell 100 by the end of the century.
Now, let's jump over to our report in Scotland with James Watt.
I'm here in Scotland with James Watt and his new innovative steam engine. How are you doing today, James?
Well, thanks.
So I've heard you've made a better version of Newcomen's engine.
Yes, mine is significantly better, but I cannot take all the credit.
Who else helped you with your creation of the engine?
My partner, Matthew Bolton, but he's a toy maker in Britain, so he cannot join us today.
Tell us about your success in the engine you made.
About the engine, its first commercial application, pumping water out of mines in Cromwell, England, not too long ago.
That's great.
Yes, and we were smart enough to patent our engine and prevent any other engineers from making similar products.
This is all the time I have with you, sir. It's been a pleasure. Back to you, Paul.
We will return to you after these commercial breaks.
Tired of spending 10 hours a day making a shirt, can't afford to serve it? No need. Try the spinning jetty instead. The spinning jetty magically turns your cotton into a shirt in just 10 seconds. Why waste time washing your clothes when you can make your own clothes? Try the spinning jetty today.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Explain to us how you became who you are today.
Well, as a boy, I lived with my mom, father, and sister. We also had a few servants.
What were your duties around the house as a child?
Well, as a boy, I had to help my father with all the harder jobs, including plowing the fields, growing crops, and then harvesting them.
As you grew older, how did your life begin to change?
Well, I left the house at the age of 15 and entered the world.
How did you meet your wife?
Well, I met my wife when she was 25, and I married her 2 years later. Now we live with our 2 children and many servants.
How did your wife become the woman she is today?
Actually, here she is.
Honey, I'm home.
How was your experience growing up?
I was born into a household that only contained my immediate family, my parents and my 2 brothers. I had to do the light work around the house, like farming and feeding the animals and cleaning my house.
When did you move out and live on your own?
I left when I was about 13. My light workload was not necessary anymore because my brothers and father did most of my work. I wanted another household to become servant.
Thank you for informing us on how both of you grew up.
Breaking news. Catherine the Great continues to specifically exclude Jews from her Russian manifesto. We now go live to Rabbi Akiva in Ukraine.
Since the expulsion of the Jews from Spain at the end of the 15th century, Jews have been regarded as aliens whose residence could be instantly ended at the whim of the rulers. The lucky ones are the court Jews, who have been helping to finance the wars of major rulers. The majority of the Jews, however, live in ghettos, which are communities in which the Jews live separately from the non-Jews. Jews are being treated very poorly. At any moment they could be expelled from their homes and have the property confiscated for no legitimate reason. Jews are also being forced to listen to anti-Semitic sermons. I'm also hearing about a few cases in which Jewish children are being taken away from their families and being given Christian instruction. Overall, times are not looking very good for the Eastern European Jewish population as of right now.
Thank you for watching tonight's newscast segment. Goodbye.